Hello, Reagan here. So I decided I was going to make this into a little hut. I never know what to like. I struggle when it comes to carving pumpkins. I never know what to make them into, and this is a craft pumpkin. So I'm like, I've been holding on to it for actual years because I was like, what if I make it into something and then I don't like it and then I'm stuck with it and I don't know. So then I stopped like dwelling on that and decided that I was going to just cut the pumpkin and make it into something amazing and then go from there. And the cool thing is by making it into a little house, like I can change that up. You know, it's not like a face that I'm stuck with like that same face every year or whatever. So that was my thought behind it. I used some popsicle sticks and made like some basic framing for the windows. And I used Aleene's tacky glue to glue everything in place. At one point, I got out my hot glue gun, and then everything that I hot glued, I had to like take apart and put regular glue on because it fell apart. So I don't know. I struggle when it comes to hot glue. Like I haven't found a whole lot of really useful things for it. It holds like felt and fabric together, and in any application that I might actually use those things, which is very rare. I usually just sew felt and fabric. But anyway. Off on a tangent. So I couldn't figure out whether to make stairs or a door or a porch with like a walk up or what. And so then I decided to just make a little ramp. So once again, thank you popsicle sticks for coming through. I put some tape down, sticky side up, and glued some sticks together the width of the opening for the door. And then put like one stick going across at an angle to kind of hold everything together to make it more sturdy, which worked really well. And then later on, after that dries, I flip it over and put little like cross beams in it so that it, works like a ramp. It's got something to step on because it's a little bit of a steep ramp and I wouldn't want any of my little occupants to fall. So yeah. I really love this tacky glue. I use a lot of it. I really do. When I'm looking for thinner glue, I've mentioned this before, but I use the Barely Art Precision Craft glue. It's pretty good, but for most general stuff where I normally in the past would have used like hot glue, I've found that I like the tacky glue better and it holds longer and stronger and I have less issues with it. So yeah. So here I'm cutting out piece to go around the circle window above the door. This took me a really long time. I kind of cut out parts of me doing it because it took me that long and it shouldn't have. It was just cutting a circle. But I even have a little circle cutting jig thingy, but I didn't bother. I was like, I got this. And I mean, it turned out okay. I'm not complaining, but it took me forever to cut it out. I was really struggling. And I put tape around the base of my X-Acto knives because I cut a lot of stuff left-handed. So the blade comes out. Any of the screw-mounted X-Acto blade holders like that, if you use them with your left hand a lot, you know they always come unscrewed. So I just put a little piece of tape on there, and just that little bit of tape is usually enough to keep my blades from falling out of my X-Acto knives, which is really nice. I then took some little cocktail sticks, like the little bamboo ones, and cut some of those up and put them as the little cross beams in the window and glued it all in place and taped it all down with some masking tape so that it would have a chance to dry and stay in place. I don't measure very often at all, pretty much. If I can get by with it, I like to just wing it with things and get them done. It depends. It depends on like what I'm working on or whatever, what I'm doing. But this is a pumpkin for Halloween, so it's fine. See, there's my little ramp, and see, there's a little cross beam, and then this is me just putting the little like steps on. And once again, tacky glue to the rescue. It works so great. And there we go. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, should I make it a drawbridge? Should I do this? Should I do that? And I thought, nope, I'm just going to do this. I don't have to go overboard. It's a pumpkin for one one quick season. I'll probably leave this out. Like the cool thing about it is because of it being decorated the way that it is, it's like a little like fairy house, elf house, goblin house thing. It's cute, and not just for one day. It's not just for just for the one day of Halloween. I can use it, through the whole fall season. And I mean, I could even probably do a little bit of adjustments on it, and it would be perfectly fine for spring as well, like a gourd house, right? So then I cut some strips of cardboard just out of some random stuff that I had around the house, and made like a frame for the door and around the windows so that they were a little bit more pronounced and cute. Once again with tacky glue, of course, and I had to tape everything down to give it plenty of time to dry, but it held really good. I'm always worried, like when it comes to these foam pumpkins, like getting stuff to stick to them is kind of hard. I had zero luck with hot glue. I don't know if it's the glue sticks I'm using or what, but it works great to hold like cardboard together by itself in some instances, but sticking to the pumpkin, I had to use this. So yeah. And there's my little ramp in place. And then in order to get the ramp to stay in place, I wasn't sure like how to secure it at first. So I went and got some of the the brown paper that they stuff in packages from like Amazon or whatever. I got some of that and I cut it in some little strips, and then I just glued that onto the pumpkin and then onto my ramp. And it worked amazingly. I also not only did I glue the bottom piece like that, but I also glued a piece across the top as well and folded it to the inside of the pumpkin so that it's, nice and sturdy and not going to fall off or blow off in the wind or whatever. This method works so well, and you can use it for like so many things. You can like really reinforce corners and hinges and all kinds of stuff with it, just using some paper and glue. I mean, it's really, really simple. And if you layer it up right, it holds really well like this. I've got the outside and the inside both covered, so there's plenty of glue. And this is some pretty hefty paper. It's pretty thick, so it does the job pretty well. It's not like super load bearing or anything. It's just to hold it all in place and keep it from, like I said, blowing off in the wind when I put it like outside or whatever. So yeah, it works nicely. I really like it. And once again, Aleene's Tacky Glue coming in clutch to do it the most amazing job ever. Oh, and just a little like side note, the insides of these especially, like the whole thing really, but mostly the inside, like there's mold release on them. So if you're gonna like paint the inside, or even if you're painting the outside sometimes too, it's a good idea to just, I use the Dawn like power wash to spray, dish soap stuff, and just give them a quick bath. Just wash them off real quick to get some of that like mold release off of them, because otherwise stuff will just slide right off of them. Paint will just like not adhere, and other stuff that you're trying to stick to it just won't stick to it. I mean, it's already kind of hard to stick things to foam in the first place, but then when you add that aspect in, it becomes really a stressful pain in the rear end. So yeah. And then once again, just securing everything with tape so that it has a chance to dry. And then I was reusing tape because I'm really cheap, and I was like, oh, I can just put this back on here. And then the tape was like falling off, so I ended up having to use more tape anyway. But I felt like I was doing something good. I don't know. A lot of times I'll keep little scraps like this around though, because I'll use them for other things. Like once they've lost a lot of their sticky, but they're still just a little bit sticky, they're really good for like when I'm airbrushing to use to mask things off. because it's not sticky enough to remove paint and things like that. So I've always got little random pieces of tape stuck places. I also keep silly putty and sticky tack and all kinds of other things around for that kind of stuff too. But yeah, you never underestimate the number of uses you can think of on the fly for some not still sticky tape. The pumpkin's really curved because it's a pumpkin and not a flat surface, so I was just kind of running these between my fingers to kind of give them a little bit of a curve before gluing them on there. And this is cardboard. I think it was from like my router box or something. I don't know. It's something that's been sitting around in a box for a while because I don't throw anything away. I'm like a big crow. It's terrible. It's all organized, but there's so much of it. I just the front shed full of like this is good enough to make something out of, you know. And I really need to like make more stuff so that I don't have such a big stash sitting around. But then I have to think about where I'm going to put the stuff that I make. And then I don't want to part with the stuff that I make. And then I list stuff on Etsy, but I always like want to price it in a way that, you know, because I don't want to get rid of it. So that's terrible. I'm a hoarder, but not really. Like I get rid of a lot of stuff. I don't keep, like my house is not as... There was a point during like lockdown that things got really, really piled up, but they're not. I mean, I have like open floors and stuff, you know, and then my shed's pretty organized, but I do have a lot of stuff. I can't act like I don't have a lot of stuff, but I really need to find an outlet for these things. Maybe find somebody that's doing craft fairs or something and just like, here, go forth, you know. Yeah, I really need to find a place to unload some of these things so that, you know, or just stop overpricing them on Etsy so that I can get rid of them so that I have some room. This guy's going to go on my Halloween stuff, though. I'm keeping this one because this is something, like I said, I can use for several different holidays. So then I decided I wanted to make little window covers, and I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to make or what I wanted to make. I wanted to make little, like, A-frame ones, like little pointed ones, or what, or do something really fancy. And then I decided to just grab a piece of cardboard, give it a little curve, and it makes me think of like the little wagons, you know, like the little traveler wagons. That's what it made me think of, you know. And I was like, yeah, I think that's it. A little, you know, little curved little window covering thing. I just like that look. I think it's really adorable. I also had to miss Ren Fair this year, which made me really, really sad. So, boo. I'll try to make it next year. I really wanted to make it this year, but we planned on camping and all this stuff. And then all these things happened, and then the money was just gone, and I was unable to do it. And I was really, really super bummed about that. Made me mad. But this is crafting makes me feel better, so it's okay. It was also really warm out there this year, and yeah, I don't feel like I really missed a whole lot. But look at that, isn't that cute? It's just already cute. It's just got tape on it. It's not even done. So I did kind of like, oh, and then I was like, oh, do I want to do this or that? And then I was gonna make a pointed piece over the middle one. I thought, no, let's make it match everything else. So I made another curved one. And then the other thing too is I wasn't sure what color I wanted to paint them, and I ended up going through like 4 different colors of purple because every purple was like lighter than I thought it was for some reason, and I was like shaking stuff up and checking everything, and I wasn't finding the color that I was looking for because I wanted a really deep, nice color. And so I kept looking, and every time I found a different one, I thought might turn out a little bit darker. I painted again. So I ended up painting them a whole bunch of times. So I didn't just make everybody suffer through all that, though. I ended up just, you'll see one good painting of the final color that I ended up using. So I saved everybody from having to suffer through all that. I was really like glad how cute these turned out. Just like a simple little curved piece of cardboard. Really made really cute little awning covers for the windows. Like, I really liked it. I could have done some gap filling and stuff and whatever, but it's, once again, it's just a pumpkin. This little line always bothers me with these pumpkins because it's usually not, the paint is usually not all the way up to the line of where the stem is. So I went in and painted that in with some like ivy green paint just to make it look a little bit better. And see, you can see one of the first iterations of paint there. Actually, what I did is I used it was a Concord Grape, I believe is the name of the color, but I mixed it with some texture paste because the cardboard, I was trying to like fill in where the corrugation is on the ends and stuff. So I just put a little texture paste to give it a little bit more beefiness and kind of reinforce the cardboard a little bit. But it made it really, really super light, and I was not happy with that. And then when I tried to go over it with just a Concord Grape, for whatever reason, it was not dark either. It was just a whole thing. I don't know. I was way overthinking it. I went down this weird rabbit hole. So, but it all got worked out in the end. It was fine. Oh, and then for the base, I took my hot wire cutter and I trimmed down a piece of styrofoam that I had it sitting on, which is actually 3 little scraps, like skewered together and glued. And then I just took some green paint. I got real nifty with this, so I took some green paint. I put a bunch of green paint on it. And then I took some like joint compound, like for the wall, you know, the spackle stuff. And put it on there and mixed it in with the paint and covered it, like to cover like the cracks and stuff of where the pieces were joined together, and to give it a little bit more of like a ground texture. I could have pushed this further. I didn't. I just did that and then mixed in the stuff. And I like the way it turned out. I really like the way it turned out, honestly. So I followed up the paint and the stuff with some static grass. No, it's not static grass. It's just some ground covering stuff. And I put down a layer of glue and sprayed it with some rubbing alcohol and everything. After I got done, I tapped it to make sure that nothing was going to come flying off. And then as you can see, I painted and I painted and I painted. I also did the ramp in the yellow, but that was intentional, like to have it as an undertone under this orange. And then I ended up painting the ramp orange, and then I found another darker purple to put over the windows and doorway. See, it's finally getting closer to the color I was looking for. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? And then for some reason it was lighter when I went over the window things, and I shook the paint. I was really mad. I'm like, are you kidding me? I finally found it, and then now it's not working. But I shook it some more and stopped panicking, and I got it. Eventually it all worked out. So then I just took a brush and just kind of squiggled it along to make some little vines around the outside of the pumpkin. Nothing fancy, just, you know, some swooshes and swoops. And I was going to put some little flowers on here, but it ain't that deep, you know what I mean? Like, this is just a cute little pumpkin to put on my porch. I didn't want to go too overboard and spend too much time on it, so I didn't. I just made some little swoops, and it was therapeutic making the little swoops. very nice. The paint I was using was like glooping up. I usually just mix water to thin my paints, but sometimes a little Windex helps when they're like really like old or really gloopy or whatever. So that's what I used. And then this is a little bit darker green that I use on the stem, so I use a little bit of it to make little low lights on the stem, like a little, like, you know, shadow areas or whatever. But I obviously am very out of practice when it comes to painting like vines and things, but I'm totally happy with it and not complaining because it's still practice, even if it doesn't look perfect. And the cool thing about these pumpkins is if I don't like it and I want to paint it something else, I can take that ball of Windex right there and just spray the pumpkin and wipe off all the paint that I painted on it and do something else next year, and it'll come right off with a little bit of Windex or rubbing alcohol. It's the joy of acrylic paints. It's great. If I wanted it to last, I could just take it out back and spray it with some clear coat, but like I said, it's not that deep. And then I took the handle of a paintbrush and I poked little holes so that I could put some little greenery under the windows. At first I wanted to put like some little shrub brushes or some planters or something, and then I kind of like settled for an in-between. I had this big thing of greenery that I bought from Michael's a few years ago. No, Joann's a few years ago. And so I just pulled some sprigs off of that and hot glued them. I just got this glue gun. It was like 12 bucks on Amazon or whatever, and it like has a base it plugs into, so it's kind of cordless. Like you charge it up and then it's cordless. I have an iron that's kind of the same concept, but you have to mount the base onto something or use some like sticky tack to hold it down to your table so that it's not coming up when you lift up the glue gun. You can also just plug the cord into the bottom of the glue gun and forego having it go into the base like that, but 12 bucks, it was kind of cool. I like it. I don't hate the glue gun. I just don't use a lot of hot glue. This is a fine example of a reason to use it because I'm just filling in the holes and whatever. Some of these I went back into later because they just kind of stuck in there and there was no real reason to have spider webs from hot glue all over everything. I mean, it would have added to the whole spooky season thing, but you know, whatever. Anyway, and then I was trying to figure out some other little stuff to do with some other greenery, and then I kind of ditched that idea. I was like, nah, I think this is good. Sometimes, you know, less is more. And so then I had these little pumpkins that once again I had forever. I got them at the Dollar Tree like a bazillion years ago, and I was like, well, I need to do something with those. What can I do? So I put some in this project, and then I also hot glued the pumpkin down to the base, and once again, it's perfect because it's easy to remove should I decide to do something different with it. I like to be able to reuse things and redo them if I want to, because I'm very indecisive sometimes. And like I'll look at this 50 million times and never ever feel like it's finished. So I'm like that with every single project I work on, no matter what it is or how fine the final project is. I'm like, oh, I could use this, I could change this, I need to do this. So yeah, having that option sometimes is cool. Anyway, but yeah, so pumpkins, once again, hot glue, quick fix, not a permanent thing. Work great. Take them off later. Won't really damage them. Left a little stick on this one so that I could stick it down into the styrofoam too, so that it's secure enough and won't come falling off. And then it needed something else, and I wasn't sure what else it needed, so I decided to put some parchment paper over the windows so that it gives a little bit of diffusion, because the only light set that I could find to put in this pumpkin was one of those like really bright white fairy light kit like sets from Amazon. You like buy them in bulk on there. And the parchment paper, I think I got the parchment paper from it was a craft store. That might have been a Hobby Lobby purchase. I don't go there very often. My mom goes there a lot. So once in a while I do end up there with her. I kind of avoid that store like the plague, but if I'm there and there's something that I can, can't really find somewhere else or whatever, I might. But yeah, anyway. I was having problems getting this to stick once again. Remember I told you about the whole mold release thing? Yeah, whoops. I didn't clean the inside of the pumpkin, and I probably should have just like got a paper towel and some rubbing alcohol and gave it a wipe down to fix that, but I didn't. So I struggled with this, and I struggled with this, and I struggled with this, and nothing wanted to stick in place. So I eventually just got some pins, pinned them from the inside, you know, just a couple little straight pins, and that worked perfectly fine. It doesn't have to seal around the window. You're just doing a little thing just to hold them in place. And yeah, just make sure that when you do it that you put them at an angle so that you don't have them sticking straight out of the pumpkin, because otherwise you'll go to pick it up and stab the heck out of yourself. So what I did is I just like put them at an angle, kind of hit them in between things, and once that was done, I got out my little skeleton friend here, and I ended up using some the Aleene's jewelry glue to hold him in place, because I tried to hot glue him and that wasn't happening. He fell off. So this is just a little bit more beefy glue. It's like a really thick super glue. Not sure exactly what the formula is, but I do know that if you get it on your fingers, it takes an actual week to come off. So be careful and don't put it on fabric because it'll catch on fire. It'll smoke a lot. It's bad. It's crazy. But there it is with the skeleton. I did use the tacky glue once again just to tack his feet because that wasn't as big of a deal, but his rear end and his back are glued with the jewelry glue so that it'll hold a little bit better. And see how well the parchment paper diffuses the light. I think it looks really cute. And I was really happy with the way this turned out. I think it's adorable. And there's lights outside, so when I put him out there, he'll still be able to see. He won't be in the complete dark. But those little fairy light kits are really bright, so yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And here's Beans with her little friend, her catnip hatchet that I made her. I might do those in an upcoming tutorial. Anyway, bye. Thanks. See ya.